Good morning and welcome to Wellbeing Wednesday. And I'm absolutely delighted today to be joined by Nicola Green from Nicola Green Consultancy. And we're going to be talking about menopause. And guys, if you don't think this affects you, you are so wrong. Nicola, welcome.
Thank you.
Can you tell me how you got into this? Because it is, as people have already said to you, quite a niche thing to be talking about and dealing with. Tell me how that came about.
Yeah, certainly. Thanks, Sandy. Well, I kind of created this, I would say. I'd had a 20+ year career in law and decided after going through my own early menopause myself that it was time for a change. I'd already changed my personal life as such. I'd made some sort of big decisions with regard to my own well-being and so on relating to menopause. And I just felt, actually, do you know what? What else is out there in the world for me? I'd been in law for many, many years. I needed to go out and see what else was there for me. And within that, I thought I was going to go into HR. I'd enrolled on a CIPD course doing level 3 HR. And within a few weeks, CIPD was sending out a literature, Menopause in the Workplace. And I received it and I read it and I thought, oh my goodness, this is a thing. I had worked through an early menopause. I didn't know what it was for many, many years. I didn't really raise it at work. And I knew I'd worked alongside many, many other women who had been struggling to deal with this and hold down a career. And I researched it, I looked into it, and I thought to myself, do you know what? I believe this is a thing. I need to go out. I need to go and raise some awareness around this. I lived it, worked it, dealt with the real life at home situations, and just thought, right, this is me. And that's what I did. I developed it from there. I marketed it and I started presenting.
I think that's amazing. And one of the things that we were talking about before we started recording, I mean, for me, menopause was quite straightforward. I was so lucky. But I know a lot of women really struggle with menopause, but men struggle with the menopause of their wives and partners because they don't understand it either.
Absolutely. So, and I'm kind of trying to sort of target all those audiences. So within my workplace presentations and training sessions, my first one I call my kind of door opener, informative and supportive, which really brings in all ages and genders. And it absolutely does. And like you say, I'll have women in there, some who are going through it, who want some support, others who are nowhere near that age yet, but I'm really wanting them to come in to be educated for the future. And then I've often got some men in there and partners of people at home who are really wondering what on earth is happening. We're not educated on this topic. I wasn't educated. I didn't understand for years what was happening to me. And that was after numerous visits to my GP and so on. So yeah, it is literally, for me, it's about raising awareness for everybody at some point in life. They will come across this. And like you said, Sandy, one of the biggest things I stress is there's no one size fits all. So I'll meet women similar to yourself there who really had a nice smooth journey through. And then I'll meet women who have extreme symptoms and horrendous things to deal with. And it's about everyone understanding that no one will be the same.
And I think one of the things that surprised me from speaking to you is that menopause has actually led to some women taking their own lives, committing suicide. And I know that you've got an article coming up about that. So can you tell me just a little bit about your experience around that?
Yeah, certainly. So my experience around that is numerous stories of women who've either attempted to take their own lives or those that have. And I have to say, the first ones I heard, I was shocked by. I'm probably now just alarmed by the amount of stories that I've now heard and listened to. And it's harrowing, it's awful. These women, honestly, at the time, probably didn't even realise what was happening to them. Some of them were dealing with this complete and utter change in their physical, emotional personalities that they didn't know what they were dealing with. So many women suffer in silence through this and don't reach out. So for me, one of the biggest things I stress when I'm talking to the workplace is, if you have a mental health first aider, if you have a mental health policy, if you're starting to really try and understand mental health in the workplace, you need to tag this in.
Yeah.
You know, my opening lines now are not, let's talk about hot flushes and periods. That's not what I do cover those things, but I'm saying anxiety, depression, suicide, you know, it's huge.
And of course, I mean, again, I think a lot of people don't really think that menopause comes under that whole mental health wellness umbrella.
No, they don't. And, you know, a lot of perception, you know, if I were to do a poll and ask everyone what they thought the top 2 symptoms might be, yes, I think periods and hot flushes would probably be the 2. So not only when I present and provide training sessions do I maybe gain attention because I'm not perceived to be what they would assume a menopausal woman, you know, the age and look of one, there's this perception. And also, when I start by asking those questions, do you know suicide? And it can be a consequence. They're shocked again. Okay, this is different to what the perception is. And there's no one's fault of this. There's a huge lack of education. And that's what I'm out there to do. I really want to get the education out there to prevent the misdiagnosis, to prevent the, the horrendous state that people can end up in.
And it's funny you say about lack of education. I don't know about you, but when I was at school, we were taught about the menstrual cycle and all that kind of thing. But nobody ever mentions like the other end of it when it all stops.
No, absolutely not. And I always say, you know, I was taught about puberty when I was pregnant. I was in contact with my midwife. I was supported the whole way through that journey. When this came along, I had no idea. No idea what was happening, what to expect. And personally, for me, you know, my work is, you know, all about my own personal journey. And for 6 years, you know, even I didn't have a hot flush, and I always had a period. So the GPs would never sort of understand when you're going in and saying, you know, no hot flushes, and yes, I'm still having periods. Well, you can't be then. You know, but it was the other symptoms that I was experiencing.
Yeah. So again, I was lucky because the periods like practically stopped overnight. The hot flushes came for quite a few months and then they went. And that's it. I was kind of a bit grouchy, but some people say I'm naturally grouchy anyway. But yeah, I was a bit grumpy. And then it was all over. So, but like you say, no one size fits all. But I was incredibly surprised to hear that some women are even driven to attempt to or take their own life because of menopause. It's absolutely shocking. So the guys that you speak to, do they really engage with this? How does it really help them?
They do. They really engage. And I think that's amazing. And often, you know, often in a manager presentation, I've got managers in there, you know, waiting to, you know, support colleagues at work, but also a lot of them are there for their partners at home.
That's just amazing. It really is. Thank you so much. And I know that there's so much more that we could be talking about. So perhaps we can do another recording again sometime and delve into it a little bit more. It'd be really, really interesting. But if anybody wants to get in touch with Nicola, I'm going to put a link to her website in the comments, and hopefully a link maybe to one or two of her stories of really extreme issues with menopause and women taking their own life. I think it's really, really important that we understand what it can drive them to. So thank you, Nicola. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandy.
And I look forward to chatting again.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Take care.